S99. How we doing?
How are we doing?
It's gonna be a little bit different from our other podcasts. Mike and I have been talking about doing more. Well, I had personally wanted to do more fitness stuff, and I was talking to Mike and John. They're like, "That's a great idea." So today we're going to talk about splits.
Heck yeah.
We need to get into this a little
Not doing
bit.
the splits, but workout splits.
If you're a bodybuilder, you probably had some experience with a split. So this is something I wrote, and it's how to get the most out of your workout splits. So, first of all, what is a split? A split defines what muscles you train and how often when you train them. Some splits are better than others, and the ultimate determiner of which split is best for you may not be what you think. Let's look at the most important variables together. Variables: scheduling. How much time do you have to train? Is it 30 minutes every day or 2 hours, 3 days per week? How much time and how often can you train? Number 2, recovery. This is the time it takes for your muscles to fully recover and build. This is not a set 48-hour window. Your age, genetic predisposition, intensity of training, sleep quality, food and nutrient intake will determine your recovery rate. This means that your answer will differ from someone else's. This recovery window can be as short as a day for a light workout or as long as 2 weeks or more if you did a scorched earth Tom Platz leg workout and went James Cameron deep into the Mariana Trenches of failure.
Heck yeah. I love that.
Which I do recommend you try once, at least in your life.
Yeah.
It will be a very painful experience. Now we know the two main variables, scheduling and recovery. Now let's dive into some basic splits. The bro split. Train one muscle group per day with added ancillary movements such as biceps and triceps on back and chest days. Example: Monday legs, Tuesday shoulders, Wednesday back and bis, Thursday shoulders and arms, Friday chest and tris, Saturday core. Number 2, the full body. Train full body 2 to 3 times per week. Example: full body Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Number 3, push-pull legs. Pretty self-explanatory. Example: Monday chest, Tuesday back, Wednesday legs, repeat Thursday chest, Friday back, Saturday legs. Let's examine some of the drawbacks and positives of each split. You want to go, Mike?
Well, the bro split. Let's call it the bro science split
Oh yeah.
for Dom Mazzetti.
Need to hear some gunshots.
Curls for Jesus.
Yes, sir.
Or reps for Jesus.
And I'd say I fall in the kind of the bro split category myself.
Are you
Shorter
a bro,
workouts,
Mike?
Yep. Shorter workouts with a focus on one muscle, longer recovery periods for the main muscle groups. However, forearms, elbows, and shoulders can get trained with almost every workout.
Hear
even-
that, boys.
Even legs. So the possibility of overtraining these specific muscles is evident and at the gym almost every day. Full body, longer workouts with a broad focus as the whole body will be trained. Exhausting long workouts that are very focused, leaving you pretty annihilated.
True.
At the gym 2 to 3 days per week, but you're there for close to 2 hours in order to train the entire body.
I feel like you have to be like pretty advanced to be able to just be cognitively present for that. Because when Joe and I did the full body, we switched over to it, bro. Halfway through, you're just like,
Yeah, I'm like, I can't do that. I'm not interested in
You're
that.
like starting to question your reality. So you have to be a little bit experienced, otherwise you will just probably rip your shoulders off or something.
Yeah. And then we got push-pull legs. Moderately long workouts, not much time for recovery as you will be hitting the same muscle group every 3 days. Not giving much time for recovery if you're training intensely at the gym almost every day. Although with the recovery, like all those kind of have low recovery time because if you're doing 2 to 3 days a week on a full body, those legs are getting smoked with like 1 day of recovery or 2 at the most.
But
Right,
what we did
right.
was we would have, so you'd split your legs up, right? So you're doing full body, but like you'd focus more on your, hams one day.
Yeah.
Focus more on your quads the other day. And then maybe you'd start the week with like a squat or a belt squat or something. and then kind of focus on the other parts of it.
Right. And same with like back. Like
Yeah.
you might do like lat pull downs on Monday and then do more like rows on Friday. And
Yeah,
you're splitting up those movements that you would normally do like in a bro split. We're doing
Yeah.
like 4 exercises.
Yep.
So you might split them up in like 1 or 2 per full
All right.
body.
So
you're
your
not
sets
hitting
aren't
that
the
volume.
same.
Right.
Yeah.
Why
So
don't
you're
we
targeting it.
explain what we each currently do?
You want to finish reading it first?
Well, yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's a
let's
great
finish
idea.
reading.
We should do that.
Let's see. So now it is my opinion that every split should have at least 1 rest day every week where you don't train. As you can see, I included 1 rest day for every split. This is my opinion, but on a rest day, I will walk or do some kind of active recovery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would agree. This is up to you if you want to go full potato on rest days. This is why rest is important, because recovery.
So we're gonna get into recovery here.
This is a good part right here. I think that this is the most useful, aside from understanding the different splits and just being like, okay, so that's what that is. That's what that is. That's what that is. This is like the psychology of evaluating yourself so you can go in and make a decision, right?
That's right. I want to teach you guys how to think and not tell you a recipe.
Yeah.
Everyone is different. So the
Mhm.
way you want to approach bodybuilding or reading the Bible or these types of teach a man how to fish, don't just give him a fish. So this
Yeah.
is kind of the concept behind how I wrote this. So we're gonna get into like the philosophy of recovery.
Mhm.
There's a lot of overlap with like diet here too.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like do
Yes.
what you can maintain.
Well,
and
that's
be
why it's so hard
consistent
to
with.
talk about working out, because everything kind of pays into one thing.
Mhm.
You know, it's like it's not just one thing.
Right. It's a way of thinking.
Yeah.
It's a way of thinking. It's
That's
a way
right.
of approaching problems. and
Like
finding
Harmony
solutions.
among different
Right.
things.
That's
Because
correct.
like if you're gonna decide to do like a bro split or a push pull leg setup, and you know you can't be consistent with probably 5 to 6 days a week, like then you're gonna be missing muscle groups.
For sure.
So like you got to go with what you can be
And
consistent
that's the
with.
first thing that I put down is scheduling. It's
Mhm.
like, what can
Exactly.
you do?
Yeah.
You know, can you afford 30 minutes a day, or is your schedule like you could do the full body where you have like a day off on Tuesday or a day off on Friday or whatever, where you can do like 2 hours then,
Mhm.
you know? So like a lot of what your schedule in your life is going to determine what split you have
Mhm.
and can commit to, because that's what you're saying. This doesn't make sense if you have a split that works really great, but you can't do it.
Mhm.
What's the point of that?
That's right.
Right? You're not going to make gains.
Has to be productive.
That's right.
Yeah.
Scheduling.
Okay. The philosopher bodybuilder, which is everybody who's serious about bodybuilding, and only Olympian to get a near perfect score. Okay. The philosopher bodybuilder and only Olympian to get a near perfect score was Mike Menser. He used this metaphor. When you go to the gym, you dig a hole. This hole gets filled by eating and sleeping. That's recovery. We don't want to just fill the hole flush. We want to make a mountain. Mike was the father of HIT, or HIT training. Stands for high intensity training. This is the training method used by 6-time Mr. Olympian Dorian Yates, the Shadow, for his Olympia wins, and still uses it to this day. The intensity of these workouts was insane, borderline near-death experience, whereby incorporating assisted reps, partials, pause reps, concentric holds, and long, brutal eccentrics, he would drive the muscle into complete failure to produce the most stimulus he could for growth. As you can imagine, performing at this intensity every day is impossible. Let's go back to the hole metaphor. You've just dug a giant friggin' hole by training super intensely. This giant hole will take longer to fill than a shallow hole training less intensely. Get the idea here? Your recovery depends on how big your hole is. The next point is how big your shovel is. Let's say you're CBum and you train, eat, and sleep and have a masseuse and the best cutting edge drugs and doctors at your disposal. You'd be working with a Caterpillar excavator to fill your hole. Let's flip this around. Now, let's say you're a single dad working 10 hours a day, lucky to eat 3 meals daily and sleep 6 hours a night. You're filling your hole with grandma's hand garden shovel. I hope you're getting the idea of what is going on here. Now, we haven't talked about your genetic predisposition, and if you have Wolverine-like regenerative qualities, but most people are somewhere in the middle. Some may be a little faster, others a little slower. This is for you to discern. As you train, you will know when you are not recovered by a few things. Red flags for recovery. Number 1, muscle soreness. If you are sore, you're not recovered. Number 2, weight reps are decreasing. You're getting weaker instead of stronger. Now, this has a lot to do with mindset. Some people can squeeze juice out of a rock. I was that guy until I was so chronically overtrained that I got tinnitus in both elbows and could barely peel potatoes while making dinner. I went full send. If I could go back, I would not have added all those extra sets and reps just because it felt good. And the metal blasting in my ear put me into a Braveheart state of war mind. It took me years to recover, and my elbows and shoulders still don't feel that great. But I'd rather you know the power of mindset than just be a wuss any day. I just want you to understand the implications. More isn't always better. It's a balance between war and love, death and life. It's almost like God knows what he's talking about. I want you to know that each one of these splits will get your results and that I have had success with all of them personally. The reason I changed splits is because life changes. I wanted to try something new. My schedule changed or I got injured. These were the determining motivators for me personally. Here's what I will say. The best split is the one that you commit to. Choose one that fits your schedule and stick to it. Make adjustments for recovery. If you're not recovering, you're not growing. Make sure your split is giving you time to come back healed and stronger. Don't fill the hole, overfill it. We want a mountain. And finally, the most obvious, train with intention and intensely. If you don't feel those endorphins rush, you're not making weird scare. And if you don't feel those endorphins rush, if you're not making weird, scary faces and pushing yourself hard, no split is ever going to work. Have fun choosing your split. I love that.
Have fun.
I'm almost like skeptical of a person if they don't look like they're experiencing a small death inside on their failure set.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like,
yeah, it has to be kind of like an outer bodily experience. You can't be like aware of like how cool you look while you're in failure.
Yeah.
It's like that bandwidth should be totally soaked up by you like squeezing every last bit of like muscle connection and effort. Should have nothing left to like all your other senses should be like shut off.
Yeah.
You should be in
Well, that
pure
takes a while for people to
warming.
understand too. Most people
It does.
like I was listening to Lane Norton talk about that because they did a recent study on basically trying to see how much failure mattered in training. I think they were testing. The nice thing with training is if you do single arm or single leg, you can then have the person be the control, the same person. So they just do it one way with one arm, the other way with the other arm, and compare results.
That's weird.
So he was having like leg extensions, something. They would take the one version would be every single set to failure, and then the other version it would be like 4 sets to 80-90%, and then last set to failure, and comparing results on
growth.
Yep. And
What did they come out? Like
it was kind of like there wasn't a difference because like he always says volume is what matters, and the volume ends up being nearly the same because if you gas on every set, your volume's just gonna keep going down.
Yeah, which equates to time in the gym.
Yeah.
So I mean, like that would be Mike Mentzer. He's like, you want to do it in 20 minutes because you can. If
Yeah.
you're badass enough and you can torture yourself enough, you can get it done.
right.
So I mean, you would get the sets in, but you'd be there for longer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and going back to splits, it's like, and I bring up Mentzer because he was really big on recovery.
Yeah.
Whereas like there's a lot of people that weren't talking about intensity and then recovery, of course, being the result of having a super intense workout. It's like, okay, because Tom Platz, I bring him up too. He's known for having giant, huge, massive legs. Like he's called the Quad King or something. Quadzilla. And he was known for training like his quads every 2 weeks or like even like once a month because he was so intense on them. He needed that much time to grow and he had incredible quads. And then you have people that are like, more like Jay Cutler or something, who wouldn't really go into failure.
Yeah.
But he would do a lot of pauses. Like even you see him on shoulders, like he would sit there for a second and then bang out another 2 or 3, and then he'd bang out another 2 or 3. And I bring up like eccentrics, I bring up holds, I bring up like, assisted reps. There's all different types of ways to go into failure kind of safely, whether it's like through volume. Menser was definitely about super heavy weight, as heavy as you can muster, even working from like 4 to 8 reps, was his working sets. And the concept of failure is very broad, whether you're doing weight or when the rep ranges and what that constitutes like a true failure is very broad, because the muscle fibers have 2 different types of muscle fibers in them. There's short twitch and there's long twitch. Some people have more short twitch, which means they're more explosive. They'll probably do better with lower rep range. If you have more long twitch, you'll probably do better with volume. So you're going to get more mass, you will find, by doing volume training if you have more long twitch. And you might find if you have more short twitch that you'll do better building muscle by doing more heavier reps, more explosive stuff. So it depends on your genetics, where failure is and how you grow the most. But the point of this podcast is like what split you choose.
Yeah.
And with either the full body, the push-pull, or the bro split, you can achieve volume and you can achieve, Mike Menser style, like overload training.
You can still get your sets in.
So what's going to determine that is you finding out what works for you. Whether you're a volume guy, you have more long twitch, or whether you're like a weight guy, you have more short twitch, and which one of those failures works best for you. But John and I probably have like more long twitch muscles, I would say, because we work better off of volume. But we will introduce like a Menser style, very heavy workout every couple months, where there'll be like a week or 2 of just like maximum overload. The thing is with Menser style training, it's like kind of like a 5x5 or something of that nature, where your joints and your tendons for most people cannot sustain that type of training unless you're doing like what Menser said with like super long recoveries. Joints and tendons don't recover the same way as muscles do. There's just not enough blood. They don't get enough blood to recover the way that a muscle does. So they need a long time to do that. So if you train Menser style or something like a HIIT style or like a 5x5 for like a whole year straight, your joints are going to be pretty torn up, and you're going to have to pay for that in the long run. Not to say that you can't do that with like volume training, because you absolutely can.
Definitely.
You can overuse certain joints. If you keep doing like elbows, like I brought up for the bro split, like it seems like you're getting a lot of time between muscle groups because you are. But then again, if you're doing all these gripping, if you're doing shoulders, chest, back, arms, every single one of those you're going to be gripping with. And you're going to be moving your elbow in some type of way. So that's not a lot of recovery for your arms, like your flexors, your gripping, your elbows, even like a lot of your rotator cuff muscles for stabilization. Those are they're getting trained every single day.
Yeah, I remember that used to be the muscle that would always dictate when I hit failure was my my brachialis. And it sucked because I didn't want to put on the straps, because I felt like, if you're doing the straps, like for me, I want tightness in my joints. And although I'm not knocking on straps, I think they're okay. But if you're pre-exhausting a muscle, you're never going to get the quality of failure in the muscle you're actually targeting.
Right.
And so that was the issue I ran into with bro splits. And obviously playing guitar, you go home and your hands are just gassed.
Right.
And then you're not holding the weights hard enough. And then if you're not holding the weights hard enough, what that ended up being, because we would use straps, to deal with the brachialis pre-exhausting. Then you're not getting a tight grip on the bar. And if you're doing like, pull-ups or something like that, you get tennis elbow, because now you got play in your joints because you're not gripping. So it all kind of cascades down.
I want to elaborate on that. That's a really good point. When John was dealing with this, I had dealt with it first, and I was looking into it. So the temptation is to use straps when you're getting weak and you have like elbow pain or something, right? It hurts. Let's use a strap, and then you're not gripping as hard. When you're not gripping as hard, you're not stabilizing the joint as much. So like when you actually grip hard, you stabilize the joint, the elbow. It's like when they tell you to squat, they're like, have strong feet.
It's like bracing in your arms.
It braces your arms, just like having strong feet. When you do a squat, braces your calf to your knee and tightens up the knee joint, so it's not sitting there loose. So it's kind of like a catch-22. It's like those wrist wraps and like those straps they can actually compound the issues.
That's what happened to me.
I
tried to get away from brachialis breaking my ass and then broke my elbows. It's like,
Right.
this is great.
Was that on like? I feel like the only problem I'd have is maybe lat pull downs at high volume, or
Yeah, that's what we were doing.
yeah.
Tons of pull-ups. And the problem was, like Joe said, when you get pain, the instinct is to, like, go easier with your grip. And when I talked to the doctor, he's like, you need to grip hard as you can. It's going to be painful. And we were wearing, at that point, the tennis elbow, you get these bands that go around.
Yeah,
And it
compression.
makes total sense, because if there's more play in the joints, all those legs are going to just keep stretching. And that's what put them there in the first place. So it doesn't work. But I remember I think when you first begin, and it has to do with, like, I guess, developing a relationship with the muscle.
Mhm.
Like, I feel like most people do the bro split first.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the gateway split. It's like, okay, I'm just going to do biceps today, and then you start
you
to
get a chance to like hone in and focus.
Yeah.
Like you were saying earlier, like if you're going to do a true full body and extract the most out of that, you have
be really
you have to
experienced.
really know what each exercise is going to do, and to like be confident in each one. So you're not like sitting there wondering what you're doing. With the bro split, you get to focus like one day just chest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like one day just back. So you get to just focus on one single,
you know what stands
movement.
out to me, like, so if you're asking yourself, like, where is my predisposition, like, what do I have equity in as far as like body awareness? Like, I think if you're not in, if you've played sports like soccer, football, something like that, where your whole body's involved, you might be able to get into the gym, do hypertrophy training, and do the full body workout, because you're used to like dealing with your whole body. But if you're like a dude who never played sports, never did shit outside with friends, then you probably should do the bro split and then go to like more functional training and stuff, because you don't know how to use your body. Like, you're
Like
basically
compound lift, stuff like that.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
I agree.
Because if you go straight to comp, like, you see the newbies on like New Year's
doing deadlifts.
Oh my God, bro! You're just like, that's so brutal.
Yeah.
You just went straight to the barbell.
Mhm.
God bless you.
I also think it
Yeah.
depends too on what your like goals are. Like I was doing full body when I was trying to cut weight, because in my head I was like, if I get everything going calorie burning wise,
Mhm.
might as well have the whole body burning calories.
Right. It's like almost like you're doing like more like a Pilates class. that
Yeah,
time.
like some weird kettlebell.
I would
Yeah.
usually try to hit some legs and then some upper body every time I would work out when I was cutting weight.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Right, your whole body's getting attacked at that point in time.
Mhm.
That's one thing too about full body splits, is that it tends to get your endocrine system jacked
Yeah.
up higher, because you're doing legs, you're doing back, you're doing chest, your whole thing. So like your whole body is adapting as a unit. So you're gonna make more testosterone
Mhm.
with like a full body split.
I think we
gotta
looked our best.
Shift it into
when we
gear.
were doing that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's brutal. Like you have to eat and you have to rest, and when you're done with a full body split, God forbid you have like a bunch of like busy work or intelligent or creative process to do afterwards, because your GABA is just gonna be crushed. And unless you have like, drink 8 pots of coffee, which will
taking
help.
steroids.
Or,
Yeah, for real.
something, modafinil or something to kind of like bring you back up after that. It's very hard to be creative, or to have much of anything into besides like sitting around.
I have so much
Exhausted.
respect for the younger me, like the 28-year-old me.
Yeah.
Like
The
the
animal.
28-year-old Joe.
Pure animal.
Like, just insane. Like, we time blocked our days. Wouldn't end until 9. We come home and just like work our asses off. And I would always just feel retarded a lot of the day. I was just
yeah.
like, oh my God.
It's an
my
overwhelming
brain
feeling of like
is a
inadequacy and
potato.
just fighting and like just feeling like garbage a lot.
Yeah, I
and
remember
just
just-
pushing through it and being like,
Yeah.
I know I'm operating at like 65-70%, but at least I'm operating 100% of
Yeah.
the day.
And then we
Yeah.
turned like 32 and it was like, you know what? I will do those days 3 days out of the week. That's fine. But I want 2 days where I am just mentally a samurai sword.
Yeah.
And I feel like I can just do that all the time.
That's absolutely true. So let's get on to like Mike, what split are you now currently using?
I would say the push pull legs, but it's kind of done in a bro split way.
Mhm.
So I will do push pull legs twice a week, and then I just change up how I do it. Like push day, the first day will be like chest and tries. The second round of push day will be shoulders and chest.
And
and then
Mhm.
back will be the first push day will be like mostly pulling down and then biceps, and then the second day will be like rowing and biceps.
So you're hitting
Mhm.
chest back to back.
No, I'm just saying on the cycle. So I go like Monday will be like chest.
And tries.
Yeah, Tuesday will be back and biceps.
Oh,
Wednesday legs.
I
And
thought you
then-
said shoulders and chest.
Yeah, for the next 3.
Oh,
so
for the
like he
next
repeats
three.
For the next
that.
yeah.
Right.
Oh no, I get it now.
It's 3
2
days.
cycles.
So a
of
little, yeah.
Yeah, push
That's
pull
great.
legs, push pull legs. One back day he's doing lat pull downs. The other one he's doing like rows. Chest he's doing triceps as his ancillary, and then the next day he's doing like shoulders. So
That's
he's
cool.
Pushing both days.
Yeah.
Same with rowing, and then rowing. There's different angles.
Yeah.
which you would normally hit.
Different
like, full-
focuses, different fresh muscles.
Yeah.
which I
and
think
then-
is great because it's like even on a bro split, by the time like say whatever you train first within those 4 exercises,
Yeah.
they get gassed the most. So it
It
always,
should be your weakest muscle.
I always
group.
enjoyed
Yeah.
doing like 2 sets of just lat pull downs and then like following it up, like you said, like another couple days and just doing rows. So each one of those is primed. Your rear delts aren't gassed by the time you're going to rows. All those secondary muscles are fresh for hitting the main muscle group.
Yeah. So do you change it every 2 weeks? You've been just sticking to that
Yeah. Well, it's twice. It's a cycle of the
2
same
week
week.
cycle.
No, it's same 1 week.
Oh,
So like Monday and Thursday are chest days or push days. With that, the first chest or push day being tries and chest. Second chest day on Thursday is
Got it.
chest and shoulders.
got it.
Right.
So then legs, I don't do twice. I was doing them like twice a week. But now this like I just blow out my legs one day and then they're good for like the week. And
and
then
that's
the
'cause
next,
they're not recovered, right?
yeah, the next
Yep.
I will do usually some like core, just kind of like what's some stretching core, maybe cardio on the next one.
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
Doesn't it feel nice to do those days and feel productive?
Mhm.
Used to not feel that way. Like, I'm doing cardio and some core. This is not a real
Yeah,
workout.
you need to die.
Yeah.
I just love that's the other thing too. Like I just love the routine of going to the gym and
Mm-hmm.
You love it as a
And,
daily part of your
yeah,
day. Yeah.
especially because it's not like I'm maybe there like an hour.
Well, you work remote too. It's like a
Yeah.
chance to get out of the house for
Right.
you. You need
Right.
that.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
totally get that.
Pure home body. So what we're doing, John and I both, we start off with a full body split, which would be like legs, back, and chest. And we would do those Monday and Friday.
Mhm.
And then Wednesday we do shoulders and arms and then like some hyperextensions. This has changed and very similar to what you're doing. So like Monday would be like lat pull downs, Friday would be like rows. For chest, it would be more like dips. And then Friday we do like flies, or pressing, something of that nature. So we'd switch it up, switch up the angles. This has transitioned into pretty much a bro split. We're back at a bro split. where
Come full circle.
full circle. This is what I
Well, we
mean.
have a reason for that, right?
They all work.
Yeah.
Right now we're starting off Mondays with legs, just legs. And then we're doing the chest. The Wednesday is still pretty much the same, except there's no legs. So it's arms and shoulders. And then Friday it's chest and back and maybe a little bit of shoulders. So
Yeah.
it's like an extended bro split.
Yeah, and the reason why we did this is because we're being hyper productive at home, or not at home, but for like our work.
Right.
So like you have to really understand how you prioritize your goals, right? Like for a while, Joe and I, we really want, and we did. We got to a point where it was like naturally, this feels like almost like we'd met our goals. Like, and you look at us in pictures, you'd be like, dude is shredded, looks like a Greek god. That's awesome. And that felt good. And after you do that, you'll notice you kind of change your goals, and then from there, it was like, we did that. We set out to do that when we were like 27. Cool. So we're trying to focus on different stuff. So if we did those full bodies every single week, the way we were, or 3 days a week, I would not be as productive at home.
Yeah.
Or in my own work. I know it. I've done it. I know. So, and really what I have noticed is the creative work, like there's a difference between work kinds, right? Like, so you can do sort of like what quote is factory work. You don't really need to, you can be totally exhausted and be good with that. But if you're doing creative work, like Joe and I, for music, for the supplement company, for different things like that, where you really want a fresh brain that can think outside of like ruts, and sort of like challenge itself, like having like our fish oil, certain fats on deck, so your brain really feels like it is the focus. So that's why we did it, and honestly, it makes sense for that. And so that's what's defining our choice in split.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yep. Don't eat as much. Everything's just. But what I will say is, for all of you that might be thinking like, oh my God, you're shrinking and you're gonna lose your gains. I
Mhm.
used to think that same thing too. But once you get to a certain level, I believe, and you've been training for 10 years, your muscle doesn't go away very easily. And sure, I'm not progressing the way that I was. I'm not getting like that pound or two of extra muscle. I'm not looking super vascular and like also feeling like dog shit all the time. Where I had like cooking dinner was like John says, busy work, like factory work is easy. It's to me, it wasn't like my brain was like, we have such little calories that like it would go through every single movement I had to do in order to like, complete the most banal tasks. I was like, oh my God, like it's just everything.
It's easier. I mean,
You just see the
still
whole process
exhausted.
until you're finally at bed, because that's what your body wants. Like, what do we have to do to get to sleep? So you're not going to lose all your gains. I haven't. I still look great without my shirt on. Like, I still am proud of what I had, and I know it's not going away, but I'm certainly not at that level of like peak performance anymore. And that's fine with me, because I want to be in peak
Do you
performance.
guys-
other
Well,
parts
the
of my
cool
life.
part is your joints are healing. Like
Yeah.
there's chronic issues like my ankles, I dealt with that tennis elbow for like 2 years. That sucked. Especially for playing guitar. So I mean, it's just pain every day. So it was like, yeah, now making that gains on that joint.
Do you
healing
eat
and
differently
stuff.
on
Yeah.
your workout days, or do you eat the same?
Definitely.
Oh yeah,
Definitely. Yeah, diet fluctuates with intensity. What output? That's one thing we learned about like body. But you don't eat a lot if you're not doing a lot. In a nutshell, if I train hard, the next day I'm definitely going to eat too. But if there's an extended period of time where we're not training, a few days, then I'm not going to be eating hard throughout that.
Mhm.
We stay relatively lean. We still do our cardio, and
Cardio is so like it's one of those things is like anchors you. Like so does all bodybuilding, and like it's a part of your life. If you've done it for more than 3 years, I would say like it'd be very hard to get you to stop. You probably are gonna like just do that the rest of your life. But cardio is one of those things where in the morning, if you go for a walk, you come back and you like usually plan your day or get prepared. It's so like healthy, like mentally healthy to do, and I love cardio for that reason. But I was thinking to another point on for the guys, like, so depending on what you should be choosing splits, depending on what you need to do. What's your priorities in life? If you want to get super big, if you want to get super lean, if you want to try and do both at once, hopefully you're not trying to get super fat. Although guys do that, they try to go on a bulk. You're going to have to challenge yourself in your split to hit the muscle from different angles, to do different variations of the same exercise. Don't get stuck in the mind and the thinking that once you have your split, that your exercises attached to that split are like set in stone, kind of like what Mike was saying.
Oh, you can think
know,
that, but
It's not going to be good for you. Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to change. The idea is at least commit to them for, I'd say like 6 months, to see what really a split's going to do for you. Don't do it for like a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like this. It's going to take a while. I remember when we went to full bodies, we are like, this is so weird. We were used to doing it every day. So, but one thing I do believe is like, have fun with the splits, find out what works for you, and then never be afraid to switch one up if it fits your schedule and your goals in life better. And I will guarantee you that switching your split up will benefit you, and you will actually make more gains doing that.
So you're
Because you're
basically saying never stick to one split.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Or like I said earlier on, or even like, one way of training or one way of hitting intensity, whether through volume or through like weight, like this whole thing is very much like, I call it like a wave process. You know what I mean? You're doing things differently. You're going up and down in intensities, up and down in volumes, and you want to keep your body adapting, like Rich Piano, the famous Rich Piano. Confuse the body, bro.
Cheesecake at 3 a.m., baby. Confuse the body.
Our roommate has been, Phil.
Yeah.
He's been eating like this, like for lunch today. So Phil is my roommate. He's a bodybuilder. He's natural. He
looks
25.
great.
He's incredible.
Yeah.
He's getting ready for a competition. He's on a bulk. But today for lunch, he had steak, and then he had half a pint of ice cream, cookies and cream. And like the other last week, he had like 2 Oreo sleeves for breakfast, and it's been savage. And then like pizza every night. I'm like,
then he goes
what
and
the-
he goes. What did he do? 12 reps of 315 on bench.
He's a horse.
He's a
horse.
He's a horse, and
I
then he
mean,
sleeps the rest
yeah.
of the day.
I hit a record on bench today. I did
All right.
225 for 15.
Whoa,
and
man.
to think he just did 315 for like that, basically, I'm just like, I'm gonna go home.
Dude, when
You've
you look
seen
at
his
Phil,
hands,
yeah, that's what I was
like,
gonna
he's
say.
just built
He's
like a
huge.
truck. You know,
The thing about Phil is like if you had Joe and Phil and they're both photographed, Joe's gonna present bigger or as big as Phil, just because we have such small bones. Same thing with Phil Heath. Like when you look at his measurements and everything, just like the muscle bellies, he's not that big.
Mm-hmm.
He really isn't. But when you look, and he tells it to everybody, he's like, it's my small bones. You know, like you look at how tiny my wrist is, you look at how big this turkey leg is, I look bigger. And I'm like, he's not wrong. He's
it's
not wrong.
perception. It's
Yeah, because
perception.
you look at
Yeah.
Phil's hands and they're just like, this guy,
like double
would,
the size of mine.
you know, those
yeah.
slapping contests, like he probably just
wow.
ripped someone's
Yeah, that
head
was
right off.
concussion,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah. It's
Concussion.
funny. We were talking about, so Phil gets on the scale like one of his buddy has for fat indexing. And he gets on the scale and it told him he was obese. And he's like, what the hell is this? And he's like, because of how much he weighs for how tall he is and all
Yeah.
his measurements, it's like he is obese.
Yeah.
And it was just cracking me up.
I'm
He's so
overweight.
pissed off.
We all have body dysmorphia as bodybuilders, so be careful like that. You know,
It's what keeps us inspired.
that's
right.
right. That's right. It's always where to go. So have fun figuring out your splits, figure out your muscle fibers, get real with intensity, and find something most of all that works with you that you can do and commit to consistently.
Yes. Well said. Well said.
That was fun.
That was fun.